Matt from Breed's Custom Food Plots coming to you today from our shop here in Mosinee, Wisconsin. We're going to spend a few minutes talking about calibrating a planting drill and why it's important, and some of the things that we go through every spring as we're setting up planting for the coming year. On top of this drill, we have 3 different bags of beans, and in one of our earlier videos, we talked about the differences in beans and maturity and sizes and those types of things. So if you haven't seen that one, go back and take a look at our seed selection video. For purposes of this discussion today, I want to focus on these 3 different bags of beans and why calibration is important. When I look at these 3 bags, they look all exactly the same, and as we've talked about in the past, each of these bags has 140,000 seeds in it. The biggest difference between these is they are different maturities and there are different seed amounts in this bag. So if I look at the bag I have here, there are 51.9 pounds in this bag, or 2,700 seeds per pound. If I go to the bag right next to it, this is 61.4 pounds and 2,280 seeds a pound. And if I go all the way on the right-hand side, this bag is only 44 pounds of seed in a bag, 3,160 seeds per pound. So as you might imagine, if we're setting up a drill to calibrate, each of these is going to calibrate a little bit differently, and the volume of seed that you're putting on the ground is going to be quite a bit different unless you go ahead and make the changes to your drill that it's going to be necessary. So if we look at the 3 different varieties of seed that we talked about before, we've got a group 2.3 maturity bean that we know weighs 51.9 pounds in a bag of seed. Okay, so if we know we're going to put down 1.5 bags, we take that, multiply it by 1.5, and when we're setting up our drill, we need to set up the drill to put down 77.8 pounds of that seed to get 210,000 seeds per acre. It's going to be a little bit different if we look at the other varieties. So if I look at the 2.0 variety of beans, remember that those beans weighed 61.4 pounds for 1 bag of seed. Multiply that by 1.5, that's our target rate. That comes out at 92.1 pounds of seed per acre. It's going to be a very different setting in the drill to get that amount of seed to the ground. Lastly, we take our group 1.5 soybeans. That's a really light bag of seed, 44.3 pounds in that. Multiply that by 1.5, and those we're only going to put down 66.4 pounds. So when we're setting up the drill, we're going to have different settings. We're going to open the gates and change the speeds of those drills a little bit to get us to each of those volumes, so that we're putting down 210,000 seeds an acre, regardless of the variety of bean that we're planting. So we're going to walk you through the calibration process for 2 different brands of drills that we use here. The one we have here is a Great Plains 3.606 no-till drill, and I want to just touch on the 3 different areas that are important as you're calibrating. The first piece that you're going to notice is going to be the gate opening, and this is the main seed gate opening in the back, and it has adjustability numbers on it from 0 to 100. The second piece is going to be a gate opening on each individual seed cup, intended to control the flow of individual seed sizes. The larger the number, the faster the seed that's going to come out. What you want to be careful of there is that you don't have that set so narrow so that something like when a bean comes out, you're starting to crack your seed. So there's a balance there between having it open enough for your seed to come out, but not so open that the seed just flows all freely through it. And then finally, on the far side of this drill, the Great Plains drill has a separate gearbox which controls the speed that the shaft is rotating. So there's 4 different settings on that. You can adjust that depending on the speed that you want the seed to be dropping through those individual seed cups. And there will be settings in your owner's manual for each of these that will help you get started. So regardless of the drill that you're trying to calibrate here, they all have a pretty similar principle on how you calibrate them. The calibration is determined based on the number of revolutions of that drive wheel that will then tell you how much seed is coming out of the drill. So in this particular Great Plains drill, there's 913 revolutions of that wheel to get 1 acre of seed out of this. Obviously, you're not going to sit and crank this drill 913 times. So we take a portion of that according to the formulas that are in the book. We like to catch 3 rows of seed for purposes of these calculations. We'll use that crank about 30 1/3 times to catch us about 1/10 of an acre's worth of seed for 3 rows. We go through the math that's in the book, and then we make our adjustments accordingly until we've got the appropriate weight of seed coming out of this drill that we're looking for. So with the Great Plains drill, when we were going through the calibration and the cranking of that, we were able to catch 3 rows of seed on 30 cranks, which is about 1/10 of an acre. So we took our total seed that we caught, we weighed it out, we divided that by 3, and when we got done, we knew that we had 14 ounces of seed coming out of each individual row unit for 1/10 of an acre. So if we know we have 14 ounces of seed per row unit, we have 9 row units and we have to multiply that amount by 10 to get to a full acre's worth of seed, and that comes out to 1,260 ounces of seed per acre. If I take 1,260 ounces of seed, divide that by 16 ounces in a pound, we're roughly going to be right around 78 pounds an acre of seed coming out of that, which was our target rate for our 2.3 soybeans. This machine here is our Genesis 8 HD drill, and we use this just as much as we use that Great Plains unit we were just talking about, but we thought we'd give you just a quick walk around this machine, just simply because every drill calibrates a little bit differently. The concepts are all exactly the same, but in how they work varies a little bit from machine to machine. This drill here really only has two variables that we need to worry about moving, and we'll walk you around how those work. And we'll take a few minutes here to show you how we calibrate this one versus the Great Plains drill. So as we mentioned, the Genesis drill only has two parts here that we have to worry about adjusting as we go through our calibration. The first of which is on the side of the machine here, and this open and close lever is simply going to control the gate opening on each individual seed cup. When we're using a little bit bigger seed, we're going to want that a little bit more open to allow that seed to pass through. Again, we don't want those seed cups to be too open, otherwise you kind of flood the entire row unit with seed and your seed spacing gets a little wonky. And if you have it too closed and the seed's going through, you run the risk of breaking your seeds. So we moved around the other side of our Genesis drill to our second adjustment that we need to make in order to calibrate this correctly. And that adjustment is down here near the gearbox. So this is an adjustment that's going to control the flow of seed out of the main box into those seed cups that we adjusted earlier. So this has adjustments going from 0 to 11, 0 being the slowest rate of seed coming out of that box, 11 being the highest rate. So when you look at your manual, you're going to find a chart in there that again is going to give you some idea of where to start, but your individual seed will dictate where ultimately you have this set up based on the weights that you're getting of seed that are coming out the back end of the drill. All right, so we've rotated that drive wheel 26 times, and we've been able to capture seed from all 13 row units, which is really nice because now we don't have to do any partial math to get us to the amount of seed that's going down for a full acre. So once we've got that calibration tray full, we pull it out, we weigh it, and in this case, we weighed out 1.5 pounds of seed. So in order to get that to how many pounds per acre is that, the book tells us we take that amount, we multiply that by 52, and that gives us the total amount of seed in pounds per acre that's going to the ground. So in this case, we've got 78 pounds of seed going to the ground, which happens to be our target number for the 2.3 maturity group soybeans. Now, having said that, if we had gotten through that calibration process and the 1.5 pounds of seed, let's say that was 1.1, we would simply go back, we'd open up that gearbox to a little bit bigger number, allowing more seed to come through, we'd get a heavier weight, and we'd redo this calculation until we got to the number that we were after, and then we'd be ready to plant in relatively short order. So if you've got any questions regarding either a Genesis drill or your Great Plains drill, feel free to drop us a line or make a comment below. We'd be happy to answer those for you. Otherwise, we really appreciate you watching today, and good luck planting.